basically TV-style game shows that work in Hangouts, and we all can play at the same time. So
that's awesome.
That's why when I saw this Hangout, I wanted to come in. I'm trying to come up with new ideas instead of talking about monetizing Hangouts all the time.
Yeah. So tell me about this word game with what you're talking. And by the way, Craig, you know, I was telling these guys my new mantra in the new year is to try to provide compelling content and you know, not focus so much on, you know, how do you monetize this, but because if you provide compelling content, then, you know, the money's secondary. That's why it'd be great if there'd be some way that we could better use the time that we have with our on-air Hangouts in the stream for other organizations, but I can get to that in a second. I'm looking at your piece right there. So, Craig, tell me about what I'm seeing. It looks like a lottery card or something like that. Hey, Lucian.
I know. After I created it, it ended up looking like that, didn't it? Let me switch screens here.
This is a link there, Sarah, which is I did a screenshot of Craig's game to say I couldn't watch it very well, so that's a 3-click of how to get any on-air Hangout full screen.
Okay.
So what you're seeing there is that would be the screenshot of what people would see in there, and up in the corner would be actually me in a small video window actually hosting the game. So it's a full screen thing down the bottom, and as you see, you are the 300-point bonus in this round.
So 300, I like that.
There's like a mini game to qualify that's really rapid, and then whoever in the chat room wins that mini game, they come on this main board, and then they pick 2 numbers and try and match it. You know, like the old kids game, the match game? It's just like the old kids match game, except all the people underneath there are actually the popular people that are on Google+. So you're matching Amanda, you, actually some of the people in this room are in some of the games.
I think I'm under 13 and it's lose 10 points if you pick me, right?
And then if you find the 3 androids, it's actually a 500-point bonus. And then there's you know, there's this screen here. This is like one of the mini games that gets you onto the main board. So
have you played it yet? And can I?
No, I just finished making it like 10 minutes ago.
Okay, well, when you go to play it, let me know, because I'd love to be in there. There's a similar individual. I don't know if you've circled him, but his name's John Herman.
Yeah.
And he used to, I don't know if he's doing anymore, but when G+ first started, he used to be doing a lot of trivia games that were really great and compelling content within Hangouts. John Herman is his name. I'm not familiar where he was from, but that's really interesting. I think that's...
Yeah, he's back east. I was just in his last Hangout. He did an on-air Hangout where he gave away a one of those fire things, Amazon Fire.
Oh, that was him?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Well, hey, one thing that I have been trying to brainstorm here is, you know, we use our on-air Hangouts for 2 hours a day with our newscast, right? And, you know, surely there's some way that we would be able to use part of this platform in order to give a voice to either NGOs, non-governmental organizations, or charities, or people like Maya, Posh, who have a story to tell, but, you know, can't get it on mainstream media. And I'm just trying to get it in my head as a small market, you know, news person, how we can open up this platform to those people, being as, you know, I can't be in every single Hangout or wouldn't be able to be in every single Hangout 24 hours a day. But, you know, is there any way, do you guys have any ideas of ways that we might be able to, you know, use on-air Hangouts more in order to, you know, give a platform and provide a voice to some of those NGOs and groups that are out there?
Do they have to be in your state, or can they be anywhere?
Anywhere.
Okay, well then, what I want to suggest, we have a tremendous amount of people on the Navajo reservation who don't have lights. They don't have any electricity or any water, and there's a project right now to get solar. For just $5 or $6, you can get solar lighting for these people so they can read and go to school, because they have nothing, there's no way to read it and stuff at night and stuff. So there's one of the projects that's like what you were talking about, is to fund these fund this thing to get them solar lights for the Navajo people.
Okay, so that's a great example. So how do I give voice to that? You know, in addition to you coming on our news, how do we give voice to that in the Google Plus stream?
Well, what you do, there's an organization which I can put you in contact with you who's doing that. It's called Elephant Energy, and they did it for Africa. They did this big project exactly the same thing for Africa, and now they're doing it for the Navajos. It's called Elephant Energy.
Okay. And are they on G Plus?
No, if you type in Elephant Energy or Eagle Energy, either one of those, that will get you in contact with that group. The Elephant Energy is the original project for Africa, and they started a new one for the Navajos called Eagle Energy.
Okay, excellent. All right. So, you know, would you have, say, you know, 15 minutes during the day, a speed round of, you know, join this Hangout and share with me what needs to be shared, but often doesn't get, you know, a chance in a newscast? I mean, I'm just talking out loud here, and you're...
Yeah, I think,
what you
if
think
I
about
may,
it. I would not be able to physically 24 hours a day,
right.
you know, moderate that in addition to my paid job and feeding the news bees. It just seems like it's a wasted resource if I'm only using that on a Hangout for a couple hours a day.
Yeah.
If I may, Sarah, rather than suggesting it,
Let's see, I'm not sure who it is.
yeah, some
It's Ian.
big background noise.
Sorry, Lucian, isn't it? Lucian, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Rather than suggesting a specific story, I think what you're looking for is a process that's going to enable you to multiply your ability to attract these types of stories. And about the only way that you're going to be able to do that is to deputize, if you will, some other people who, on your behalf, can interview potential stories and sort of, you know, work it like a pyramid scheme to get people to talk to their friends and neighbors and draw these things in and filter back to you the kinds of human interest stories, charities, NGOs, and other things that you want to talk about.
Yep. So what you're proposing may be that somebody else does the interview, and then we play that interview via YouTube and on our Hangout.
Or even if it's just a preliminary interview and not the one that's aired, I think you interviewing the party is the attractive content, but you can't screen every potential story, nor can you go out and spend the time it takes to attract them all. I think you're going to have to deputize people to go and gather this on your behalf and filter through and, you know, provide you with the short list of 3 or 4 that you could then choose from, do the interview and air.
Yeah, I totally agree with the deputizing. I mean, that's the, you know, with my limited resources as far as monetarily here at the station and not having an assistant or anything like that, that would be great. And you guys have been great on bringing me compelling content like that. You know, Harold, that's a great example. What were you saying, Harold?
You have lots of assistants. We're all your assistants.
Yeah, that's true. You are not my assistants. You're my colleagues.
But I think we have to formalize that and promote it in a way that also enables and empowers us to do it.
Okay.
I think one thing for... Yeah, can I just say a question for you, Sarah? Is that's something I've been thinking about, and that is before Google Plus, I'm assuming that you've been thinking, you know, about Missouri and your stream of, you know, like a radius of a circle around there, and now I think with G Plus for me it goes, you know, very much global, and so therefore you can fit into different time zones and start to think as you have already done, you know, with Norway and Turkey earthquakes, and react to any news that happens to happen. So it doesn't necessarily, you know, mean it's going to be first thing in the morning or last thing at night for you. And something we did that you probably haven't caught up with yet is Mashable held a hangout last week, and it was full up. Now I suggested on there that they should, you know, stream it live, and they didn't. And then I said, you know, said somebody else should do it. And then Peter McDermott jumped on that, and we opened you know, not the Mashable hangout immediately, and you know, it went quite well. And prior to that, we also did one where Bradley Horowitz did a hangout in real life with Ann Arbor, and then Peter called one, used his on air, and we were like right on it. And I think just to react as it is.
Mm-hmm. To react as it is? You were going to finish your sentence?
Yeah, sorry. To react as something comes up, literally like you're doing. Because if you did a news show, news at 4 or 5, 6 or 10, now you've got the ability that the moment you say, look at some, news that is happening, you say, right, Sarah Hill, for example, is hanging out for 15 minutes. We get into a hangout. We start talking about the news as it happens. We hopefully, if we can, link in, one other person who is really topical. Maybe I'm not going to use the word celebrity as such, but somebody who would want to watch on the live stream immediately. They can click that to go full stream, and you have got this global, very, very quick G+, and that's without, fitting in, and I'm going to say, the stuff in the background we've got to do with Google themselves.
Mm-hmm. You're saying in chat, co-create the news in the Hangout as it happens.
Yeah, so if something went right now and you've got 5 minutes or 15 minutes in the day, then get on, open it.
Right.
In theory, and I've got a lovely new girl that we hung out with last week. It feels like an eternity that you've been in Hawaii, but it's only a few days, isn't it? That said that if we wanted to go through all 100,000 to 300,000 of your followers, apparently the Google API doesn't let us do that. So not only do we not know where they are, but if we wanted to go through them one by one to figure out where your markets are, Google don't know themselves, and so we've got to wait on that. To tailor it to where, is it India, is it Europe, is it I don't know, Florida?
Yeah, because that's real difficult to hone your content if you don't. I mean, I have a general idea where the bulk of my followers are, but it's real hard to hone your content when you don't know who your audience is, and that will be important for television stations who use this medium in the future, because there is no ratings book for TV for G+ right now. There's no way to know how many people right now are watching this stream at all, and that would be important information for us to know how many people and who they are and where they are.
Right. And
I'm assuming that's probably in the future. I would imagine they're working on that. This is all new, but for TV people, that would be really important.
I agree with you, Mike, that jumping on timely news as it's happening is important, and it goes back to our original conversations those many months ago, and we talked about the Hangout News Network or Hangout Network News. Either way, the concept there was that we had enough people that we could tap on the shoulder when we needed them to jump into a Hangout, and then we could, Sarah, engage you on demand to get a story aired as it was happening. But I think you're really talking about two different things, right? I mean, one is leveraging the technology to be where the action is when it's happening, and the other is reaching out throughout the network to find compelling content and capture it, produce it, and air it. Right? I think these are two separate threads.
Yeah, and right now I'd like to focus on the latter, because we're continuing to refine that as far as jumping on breaking news, and sometimes we do a good job of it, and sometimes we don't. But yes, I definitely would like to find a way to get more compelling content in more on-air hangouts.
So it seems to me that one of the things we could do, Mike, particularly with your recent connection with our friends in Mountain View, if it's at all possible, we could put together a proposal that would, in concert with our friends in Mountain View, sort of put out the word, if you will, that we're looking for interesting stories, interesting content, and they may even be able to build some intelligence to help us ferret that stuff out, so we can reach out to people that have an interesting story, and then be the early on be the human filters, and maybe eventually automated filters that bring that kind of content to you, Sarah.
And that would be great, because you guys are seeing more of that compelling content in your streams than I am. I'm having difficulty on just keeping up with notifications, especially people from overseas like Mike post. I have to go through sometimes, 50, 60 just to get to yours, especially if they come in overnight. So that would be great. If
we could tinker a bit with your notifications, Obviously we'd have to do this in very close concert with you. I'm not suggesting that you open your kimono, so to speak. But if we could help you to build some rules around the Gmail inbox where you're getting these notifications, you can do things like forward. So that certain, if we can build enough intelligence into it, we may be able to do it on a geographic basis or a time zone basis, so that some of those notifications, for instance, might go to Mike, who's 5 hours ahead.
Have you got an idea in your head, Sarah, about whether you had like a studio set where you could have like, a desk with one single monitor with you, I'm not saying like a Letterman type thing, but you're sat there with a desk and monitor, the Hangout on there and say, hi, it's Sarah Hill here, and we're talking about whatever, then you go on air. Have you got that image in your head at the moment? Because I think I have.
Yeah, we have the set right now. It's the set that I use for UNews with the touchscreen. And that would be the shot, and it's got monitors in the background. That would be easy to do. As far as that goes, that'd be easy enough.
Because one of the things I've started to look at is we've got Google TV, and as you know, I'm not in the States, so I haven't particularly seen it or used it. But also there is a YouTube channel which is Google TV. And it's got about 10 videos on it. 2 of those are just a couple of guys like sat there with no screen shares or anything. And in my head is, going on for Joseph, is this proposal to Google, and I know, and I'm aware of this is going out live, is to say, what could you encompass, as a co-project to work it where you can talk about, I'm not saying be a spokesperson for Google, but you're saying that I am starting to think from a Missouri platform into a world platform with this amount of followers, and then start reacting and getting suggestions of the content and being joined. And one of the images I've got in my head is where Oprah would have, for example, or anybody like Oprah, a studio audience and an interview. And now you're actually asking to people within the Hangout to stay at home and join you, obviously, in the Hangout, down the wires. And that, to create, I'm not saying like a chat show, but I'm saying 1 minute you do, like maybe you interviewing, the next thing it's current news, and you could do virtually anything, like our friend who's hopefully coming on this week from Google, with the yoga and the advice column and all sorts of different stuff.
Yes, I circled her too. Thank you for the suggestion there. Yeah, who knows what it could morph into, but my primary concern now is to use some of that platform time that we're currently not using. I thought when I was off last week, here we've got this platform and the ability for other people to share compelling, important stories, and it wasn't used all week long. All week long. How many stories went down the drain, or how many groups could have used that to tell people about, on the Indian reservation not having lights, or that project, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other stories like that, just like Harold Carey mentioned, that deserve a voice in that respect. So I'm just trying to figure out how to best use my resources to get that done, and to employ you all to help me do that. So,
well, Sarah, I just put up a map of my circles. This tells you exactly where your users are. So the question you were asking before, where are all my people? If you put this extension on your Chrome, you can see exactly where all your audience is.
Ah, excellent. I will do that.
This is the ones that you are following.
Harold, does it give you just a graphic, or?
Well, I don't know if you can see. Let's see.
Harold, is this the people that you are following as opposed to your followers?
Right.
Yeah. Well, if you, I think it's your follower. I think you can. Well, it's people in your circles.
Yeah, it's people in your circles. So you can do it for the 5,000 that you follow, but in Sarah's case, where she's got 300,000.
Oh, okay, I see. It's the opposite.
Yes.
It's the opposite of.
Yeah.
I think it's the opposite of what you're saying. Yeah.
Only if you know this and it works, then you know more than Google do, because they said that the API's shut and you can't have it. So.
Yeah, if anybody stumbles across a way to map that'd be important information for us too. So, well, I think that, Joseph, what would you suggest should be our next order of business then?
I think we have to formalize some proposal that we can put in front of the folks in Mountain View if we want to get their support. If we want to try to begin working without that, then what I would do if I were in your shoes is I would solicit a handful of people who are willing to spend some number of hours per day. It is a commitment. It's not something that can be taken lightly or catch as catch can. You're going to have to, be all in on this and commit a couple of hours a day to hold a hangout. And then in concert with you, these hangouts would be promoted through the community, hopefully with some help from Google as well. And we would be looking for people to bring content in. We would interview them as a preliminary step, review the content, and anything that we thought was worth pursuing, bring to your attention.
So you are saying that you all would hold your own hangouts and in order to vet and find these individuals with the stories, and then invite them to an on-air hangout that's recorded that we can share in the stream and share live as well?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. See, we have a whole bunch of other groups of people besides the group of this people that we hang out with all the time, and we get with. And I'm in so many hangouts with so many different people. We have huge amounts of contacts that we could do exactly right. Now, I'd be willing, like I say, I'd be willing to donate 2 to 4 hours a day to help you out, and I'm sure some other people will be willing to do the same thing, to go and find this stuff and put it together.
There is another element here, Sarah, and the link, and I'm not suggesting you click it right now, but it's very easy to, and James has done this a lot with Daria and other people, and that is that you can get this link, as we know, and you can put it out full screen. Not only that, you can embed it wherever you like, and the quality is excellent. So, for example, at the moment, and we're talking, and what I need, immediately, if anybody's got it, who's listening, is some audience research. We're showing, and I said this to Joseph the other day, is that we are talking very much, I think, about ourselves being either at Google Plus or as broadcasters, but nobody, in my mind, has asked regular people how they perceive this. Because at the moment, say at the KOMU live stream, we've got a live show embedded, we've got a Hangout embedded, we've got a Scribble Live embedded, we've got a social media desk with Facebook, we've got a Twitter going on, and with all of that going on, a lot of people in G Plus are just looking at their stream. Now that is a lot of things, and as an ex-teacher as I am, I'm thinking, what is overload, or to make it simple?
And
now if you, sorry, go on, Sarah.
No, I think you're absolutely right. So this is a great time to tell me what you do and don't like about all of that. I mean, do you think we should just make it one box and then in the commercials cut to the Hangout on our streaming page?
Well, in my view, there's a lot to look into and talk about in terms of how others who are leading the field do it and do these geo-located ads and various other things. But what I would say is we can take your live stream and put it in one place, full screen, and that is very good quality. And from that, watching it, I don't know about you, but watching it, in live in the little G stream is not very good. Now, we can't at this precise moment get it in YouTube unless James knows something or Google let us do it, because we haven't got Google, a YouTube Live. What I am saying is that if you can direct these people and say, when Sarah Hill goes on air, it is full screen, it is a good picture, and my hope is that we can get that, and perhaps I'll bring James on this, will it go to a mobile device? Because if we are taking the idea of the 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. crowd, which is, there's somebody over, our friends, in the West Coast are looking at, then that is how they are. James, can that be done to take the stream to a mobile device?
Yeah, you're talking about the embedded player, on-air player on a website, yes?
I'm talking about, if we are talking, which we are with Sarah's account right now live, if somebody was walking down the road with an iPhone, could they get it live on their mobile?
That is a possibility, yes.
Okay, because I'm thinking that in my opinion, I'm new to video, as a lot of people know, is if we can get this stream not only on people's laptops, but in iPods and iPhones wandering about the place, that is going to generate a phenomenal amount of views, based on viral video data.
Yeah, because I know from the, as you know, I was helping Daria with the 24-hour New Year's Eve hangout. I know from the feedback that we got from that, there were quite a few people that were watching from mobile devices, mobile phones, iPads.
Really?
and other tablet devices. So there were quite a few people that were, and that was directly via the website itself.
Let's not forget that viewership now is very asynchronous. So holding aside for the moment the news as it's happening angle, and concentrating more on the rich content that we're trying to gather and produce, once the show has been aired, it's captured, it's put up on YouTube, it's replayed N times on demand. It can be viewed from any number of devices, right?
Mm. The other thing that we've got to consider, and I know Craig was doing that on his game show, which is excellent, and that is the ability of the screen share within this live stream. And if we're quite snappy with it and do it at our own speed, which I think can be quite fast, as opposed to say the TV production, which is very screens and talking a bit and things like that. Then, and I personally don't have it at the moment, so I can't share my screen. But if you can, then I can think you could produce something which is, like you do on Air, Sarah, with, you've got pictures come in and then somebody talks over it and these things. And to actually tailor it, using the other one, which is, the cyber way, and really go for the market and the viewership who actually want to do something very, very fast, because the word seems to be, as we all know, that Sarah Hill here can multitask and use about as many, mobiles as she can physically hold in her hands. But a lot of people out there can't. And the word seems to be, as I just said with Vic Conductra, that there's 1,904 TV stations in the United States, and only probably 2, 3, maybe 4 are using it. So therefore, I think responsibility for Sarah and the team to actually educate everybody else. And you weren't there, Sarah, because you're in Hawaii, but the BBC, Have Your Say, opened up something in London the other day, and we all crashed this hangout and went in. The girl started, and then she wanted to have her dinner after 2 minutes and leave, and then said she had to go, and in other words, people don't know, and that is a world audience. And I think to actually talk about it, and you could get content like, here's 20, 25 minutes of how to hang out and how to hang out for news properly, and others will jump in.
Yep, and we are working on that right now. I give those lectures all the time within the confines of the Missouri School of Journalism. I mean, that's what we are teaching our digital newsies here, is how to use this platform to tell stories, how to live stream, how to open a Hangout. So they're all getting that here. My focus has been, on the journalism school, but perhaps in the future, in 2012, we can develop some kind of broadcast guide that can enable other TV stations. For instance, we just had a TV station in Reno. We get these emails all the time. How do you, we understand that you Skype with your viewers. That's what they call it. That's how they understand. You group Skype. And so, I mean, there are TV stations out there that have no idea that this technology even exists. And, really, I'm one person and can't get that message out there, but that is on my radar, is to develop some sort of Hangout guide to let people know this is how we do it, this is how we display a Hangout, this is what green boxing is, all those little things that, in terms that they need to know and understand about silicone keyboards and all of that. So that is on my radar for 2012.
We should just respond to Charles Hogg, Sarah, who's posted a comment in the stream about being physically present in a number of cities and conducting interviews and bringing them in through Hangouts. And we essentially do that. We don't actually go out to the physical locations, although folks like Mike Tucker have. I mean, he's gone to the zoo and showed us the crocodiles in the pond.
And the beaches and the waterways. I mean, this technology is, enabled our viewers to see all over the world, which has been really.
What I love, I don't know if you're checking this, Sarah, that this live stream that's going is getting more and more comments on it, and as we're talking on air, other people are putting the comments on, the stream, as you just said. But one of the things, and I can't, so much time has passed, but looking at the amount, and I will say this, the amount of followers that, say, Sarah has on Facebook, which I think I might be wrong, but it might be about 17,000. With KOMU News, something like that.
With KOMU, yeah.
Yeah, and then we've got about, some on Twitter, can't remember the number, and then, when I did this piece of data in this graph, the amount on G+, which is just something like, hundreds and hundreds of thousands. we don't know where it's heading, do we? But I think that, taking for those people who are not sure about it, and I spend, like, with Joseph and people, is that the news seems to be like an hourglass, that you take a load of news, it goes through the tiny bit, and then this is what you're given. And now it seems to be, and we had this the other day, didn't we? Rather than going in a vertical, it's going in some kind of like horizontal, diffusion. And what I said to Joseph is,
because broadcasting is dead, mass media is dying. It's all connecting horizontally, one to few, and then you guys share that content. We're no longer shouting from that mountaintop.
Exactly.
But I think rather than get given like one version of the story, especially a Hangout might be excellent to actually say, look, what do we know about, I don't know, Syria right now? We do a load of different stories, and I don't know if the audience could keep up with this, but I think some would be amazingly interested to actually see maybe 5 or 6 different events, not like a game show. You say, well, which one's telling the truth? But to say, what is this? What is that? And get that version to say, rather than you are given it, you can actually see it diffusing in front of your eyes. That's what inspires me, anyway.
That and different perspectives of the story. For instance, after we had the Occupy movements, and we had a mainstream media organization post that the Occupy movement started on Wall Street. And correctly, some of our viewers or G+ers in Spain said, not so. And so, but that's a perspective, we think everything started in America, erroneously so. But, that perspective would have never been available had it not been for this platform. And another thing about followers, too, and I'm sure you guys are finding this on your different social sites, because there is the ability to share circles, you are obviously going to have more followers on Google Plus than you are on Twitter or Facebook. And I also wonder if this site might be more akin to, and I believe it is, to international interaction, just because of that aspect and your ability to.
I think, can I just bring up a small tiny point in my view, and this seems to be a big hot debate before SOPA even starts, and we know that our famous friend from Europe has lost his on-air ability because of certain reasons, it's probably to do with legal and copyright, but my conclusion is that 2012 is not only going to be about the whole copyright issues, but it's going to be about freedom of original content, and that's why I think something like the news in this angle could be excellent, because we don't have to worry. We just get on and talk about the news and talk about almost like chat shows, and then the people who are accidentally, going to be cut down because of this copyright issue, which sounds like it's hotting up so badly that it's actually freezing everyone. And I don't know how you view that, because I know you've got FCC, but FCC isn't, not that we're going to do anything wrong, but using this in Google Plus isn't FCC, is it? Am I right on that?
Correct. But I always use the word FCC approved because everybody knows what that means as far as language and items like that. If we get a violation, it's not only a huge fine, but it's a bunch of paperwork to fill out. But isn't it interesting? A lot of people said, Sarah, you're nuts. How can you put out, put individuals who you don't, they questioned how many days it would be till we got an FCC violation with putting on the end there. Isn't that interesting that we have not had that issue at all? And it begs to the point of community, because this is face-to-face communities, and communities are respectful of each other. I've never been in a Hangout, knock on wood, where anybody was disrespectful or was using language that was inappropriate. And I think that's number one, because people are generally, and this is a jaded view, but generally respectful, and just that face-to-face interaction amps up that sense of community even more. I think they're more respectful on this than they are on Facebook or even Twitter.
Oh, far more.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, I just put up a post there that looks like you're going to hit 300,000 by tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think, I think this is a great plan of attack. I'm getting ready to start the 5 o'clock news here in 10 minutes, so I'm going to shut down and open up a Hangout. But and I even think maybe even, too, after the 11 o'clock program, maybe in the afternoon, like 2 o'clock or something like that, maybe that would be an opportunity to share some of those stories every day, and then that segment could be recorded for the news. But basically, I'm just looking for more opportunities to use the stream to tell those to tell those important.
But you could easily target, different time zones, as I said, because Google do that already, don't they? They produce a very early, like, Googler's Hangout for, like, the whatever it is in the US. Then they do, like, some that are tailored for Europeans. And I can already see things that if you wanted today, look at emerging, like India, I think is excellent, because you could, if you go on air at that precise time and advertise it likely ahead. And I'm trying to get hold of Google to try and figure out, as I probably said to many people, a 3-star version of scheduling Hangouts, because there just isn't a good one that works, and I think Sarah's show, we all agree, gets 3 stars because it's from a TV station and whatever it might be. But if there was one almost like, like your What's on TV thing with Titan, and you've got all these things. Now, if one of those existed with all the Google Plus things in, and you knew Sarah was, or anybody else was popping up at certain times of the day, I think that would blow, Colombia's mind, because you're not talking about, your local anymore. You could be talking about, whatever is going on anywhere, depending on, I'm not saying Sarah's got to do this, like get up in the middle of the night to fit in with other time zones, but we're not talking, I don't think, and this is another thing, unless if there's anybody watching or listening can find out what the optimum length of YouTube is. My estimation would say that if something comes out for like 20 minutes, hit hard and fast, that's probably enough.
Yeah, or even 10. When you're thinking about how long at times it takes to load, and that's certainly doable. I mean, in broadcast world, our segments are 2 minutes is an eternity. Most of ours are minute 30 packages.
Right. So we realize you have to go, Sarah. Just to maybe because I'm a former CIO, and process is always foremost in my mind.
That's why I said, what's our next plan of attack, Joseph? Because I knew that you would have it.
There is one more.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was only to say one more, and that is something that I emailed Sarah today, which I can't say what it is, but it's only a screen, shall we say, where you can pipe, live or recorded clips and information directly in the Hangout. Can you at this precise moment do that, Sarah?
Say that again?
Did you see that screen that I emailed, from our friend over on the West Coast today? In other words, of like, you're talking to us now on your webcam in your office.
Yes, I did.
Have you the ability to say, oh, I've got a clip here of, either it's KMU or a world clip.
Not unless it's on YouTube,
click.
I don't. Not unless it's on YouTube, I don't. I don't have the ability to play a video clip. Unless I share my screen and then go to the website and play it. I mean, I can do that.
Yeah, but then your quality is pretty bad because of the frame rate.
Yeah,
you have to pump it directly through, like with Webcam Max or something.
Yeah, that would be a great feature to have. Guys, I'm sorry I got to run, but I appreciate you letting me pick your brains there. Any of you in this Hangout or anybody watching, if you have any story ideas like the one that Harold mentioned about the individuals on the reservation who don't have access to water or electricity, send them my way, because I think that's content that's worthy of even 5 minutes in an on-air Hangout, 5 minutes of a stream that we're not using to its maximum benefit. So.
Cool. Are you hanging out at 5 and 6 then?
Yes, I am. I'll start a Hangout here in a couple minutes. I'm headed to the news set. Angie Bailey is off today, so I'm pinch hitting for her. Guys, it's good to see all of you. I appreciate you letting me use you as a resource. You have taught me very much about this platform, and hats off to you. I appreciate that.
Right,
we can find this on YouTube very shortly, can we, Sarah? This clip?
Yeah, it has to process. So, and I have to, and I'll be doing it during the news. I'll try to process it during the news, but I'll be hanging out, reading, and processing editing the video clip. Just another thing to do, right?
Break a leg, Sarah.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Okay.